Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Professor Merriweather, and welcome back to the class of Straight Talk. I am your host. Also, I am the author of Enough is Enough. Thank you for joining me this week. The topic today for class is Black Lives Matters. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want you to ever think that I'm a racist. I am not a racist. I'm a God-fearing, God-loving man of all people. But ladies and gentlemen, I am going to deal with some issues today. And if you want to call me a racist or you want to say I'm trying to stir up trouble and everything, you're entitled to your opinion just like I'm entitled to mine. And if it gets to the point that you don't agree with me, what you do, delete it. But to those who are listening, I'm going to tell you the unadulterated truth. Today we're going to talk about Black Lives Matters. Ladies and gentlemen, as I normally do, let's talk about what happened in my hometown. My hometown this past Thursday, which is our regular school board meeting, my superintendent will not return calls. The personnel manager has been told not to talk to me. And our secretary, when she gives messages, will not return the call. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, I retired in 2006. I'm not asking anybody for anything. My father owns everything that the eyes can see and smell and hear. So why would I be worried? I'm not looking for a job, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not boasting and bragging. God has been good to me, and I'm not looking for a job. I have not worked a full-time job since I retired in 2007. But I do enjoy subbing because I think the students need me. Ladies and gentlemen, I started the alternative school and have helped over 5,000 students and did my best. And nowhere will you go in Jackson that you'll find that I didn't work my heart out trying to help those who needed help. And so I am very outspoken like I am now. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of good old boys and leaders in this city that I've called their hand out, and I'm going to continue to call their hand out until I die. So it's nothing they can do with me. You can't fire me because I don't work for nobody but the Lord. But I asked her about coming back and subbing and why was I taken off of the substitute list. First, she told the biggest lie and said she didn't know why. I kept pinning her down and just me and her, and the Jackson son was in the room. So everything I'm telling you, the Jackson son guy can tell you that because he heard it. Finally, I said, well, I deserve an answer. Then her reply is, well, you was talking about the school system. My reply is that if I told a lie or offended you in any way and I'm in error, let me know that I may apologize. Not only that, I will come before the whole board and apologize in front of everyone in Jackson, Madison County if I said something that was wrong. But, ma'am, I did tell the truth, and I'm going to continue to tell the truth. And if it's not something you want to hear, change it. So finally, I kept pinning her down. Finally, she got upset, and she says, I'm the superintendent, and I'm not putting you back on the substitute list. And I said, fine. I didn't get upset. You know, she was getting upset. Ladies and gentlemen, I told her I miss the children because I think I can help some children because I have all of my life. I got about 40 years of working with young people. And I don't believe you'll find anyone to tell you that I would harm or tell a child a lie. But ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to tell her, and that is the reason that you've been used and they're throwing you under the bus and this is your last year. You headed back to your hometown. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm not that kind of person. I'm a God-loving person. The only thing I've done is prayed for her. So ladies and gentlemen, that's it for my hometown for this week. Join me as we get further into talking about Black Lives Matter. Stay with me. I'm going to take a brief break and get a little more comfortable so I can talk with you. Stay with me. Ladies and gentlemen, as you have heard me say before in the last session, as we get ready to talk about Black Lives Matters, it's a strange thing in that across this country, the reason we're having so many problems is because there is an indictment against African American people. And the reason being, and I'm going to try to give you some basic for the reason being because the good book, which is the Holy Bible, it tells you that the last shall be first and the first shall be last. And this good book is going to be proven whether we like it or not. So no matter how much the good old boys who go to Sunday school and Sunday school superintendents in their church and in the pulpit and And some of them are in universities or surrounding counties and cities. And they are having Bible classes where they discuss and teach the Bible. They are picking and choosing what they want to tell you. I'm going to try to give you some basic for it. Ladies and gentlemen, anyone who know me, I have been the same person I am today. What you see and what you hear is the same person I've been all my life. And the day I die, I'm going to be the same person that you see now. I'm going to continue to tell unadulterated truth. It's nothing that no one can possibly do with me. I'm just amazed that I have lived in this city now, come October the 3rd, 65 years. And you see people on the street, Mr. Mayweather, you're doing a good job, and stick on with you and all that kind of stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, I paid my dues in this city, and I'm going to continue to pay them until breath leave my body. But ladies and gentlemen, the strange thing is here that it's not too many people in this city of Jackson, Tennessee who have not heard, met me, talked with me. Know that my love is and passion is young people and parents and families in crisis situation. Out of the thousands and thousands of parents that I have worked with, and school systems and judges and what have you, the good old boys has sent notice. Don't help Meriwether, because Meriwether is going to stop our plan from being able to get rid of a whole generation of children, hold them back, and they're going to stop us from living in the houses with the picket fence and the BMW in the driveway and the two children going to private schools. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's quiet in my community. Master, you know who Master is. Master has convinced a lot of people of color that I'm with you. And a lot of my own people have turned against each other. But Master have got them to believe that I'm going to take care of you. I'll take care of your family. They did that mess back in slavery. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a whole section of African Americans, churches and pastors, and they'll turn up on Sunday morning, but they won't turn out to the school board meeting. This past Thursday, there was not but one, possibly two, ministers present. Well, I wonder why they can't intelligently explain what's going on in the school system, what's going on in this city, and we're coming up on an election beginning August 4th, and then we'll have the general election in November. They can't intelligently, with their PhDs and their master's degrees and several degrees, they can't carry on an intelligent conversation about what's going on. They can tell you about the word, but they cannot discuss. They can't go beyond the word. They're shadow-minded. And so they don't show up at meeting. And the congregation allows the leaders to not be informed about the community. When I grew up, the ministers were the lighthouse of the community in the African American community. But now we have leadership with all the degrees and everything. They can't intelligently have a meeting on anything but the word. They're not present. They won't speak to mayors and judges and congressmen or nothing. They don't come out. They couldn't intelligently right now tell you who's running for political office because they're not informed. Mr. Charlie and the good old boys has densed their mind and got them believing, look, I care about you and you don't have to worry about going out and reading and coming to meetings. I'll call you on the phone and tell you who we need to vote for, and I'll find out when I can come to your church and speak to your people. So we got a whole generation of leaders who are not there. We have fraternities and sororities. They're sending money over to Africa, and charity starts at home. No fraternities or sorority has been making these school board meetings. So my question is, maybe the reason you can't intelligently talk about what's going on because you don't know what to talk about. You're not informed. And the good old boys and Mr. Charlie and Master is very happy because we went through that with slavery. They did not want African Americans to read because if they read, they knew they become knowledgeable. And if they become knowledgeable, they can make a dent in the community. They can call their hand. Now we're able to read. And we won't pick up the book and read. We won't come to the meetings. We still relying on Master. What do I need to do? Who do I need to do? How do I stop? Yes, sir, I'll be glad to stop Mr. Mayweather. Just tell me what I need to do. We are dependent on Master. Well, as we begin to talk more about Black Lives Matter, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I can't understand. Think about this. When is the last time you turned on CNN or news and see why the terrorists, and Lord forbid, I won't see no one injured. Let's make that perfect clear. Don't say Mr. Mayweather don't care about other people. I do. Because they are our people. All of God's people are God's people. We are related because we all come from our Heavenly Father. But ladies and gentlemen, why is the terrorists not driving into a drove of black people? We're being held back by people that we see on the job daily that are representing us in City Hall and in the county court and the city council and Congress and senators. Ladies and gentlemen, the terrorists don't have to do it because we allow the good old boys and people that we see daily. How you mayor so-and-so, how you doctor so-and-so, how you judge so-and-so. These are the same people who are holding back a whole segment of people. Maybe when I said that, we need to say nobody can hold you back but yourself. So I'm a free man. I don't know about you. I don't know who you belong to. I don't belong to Mr. Jones no more. My ancestors did. I'm a free man. And so I'm going to act free and I'm going to talk and tell what I want to tell. It's nothing they can do but either listen or get out of my way once. But I can't understand this. Now we're talking about, and I certainly don't want to see any police officers killed. But ladies and gentlemen, they got a code of silence in the police department. Now, think about this. Even the wives of the police officers who are getting killed are friends of theirs who got killed. If I was the wife of a police officer and he knew that there was corruption in the police department while they were shooting a certain segment of people for no apparent reason except driving while black, I would say to my husband, honey, you don't need to be quiet. You need to tell somebody. Why would I be in a patrol car driving with a racist? He using excessive force, and I don't say nothing about it because I got a code of silence. I'm a police officer too. Then when he dies, the whole world just seemed to stop. They started bringing the flag down. There was no flags coming down when they was killing all these black people. No governor ordered that the flags be taken down. They was talking about the Confederate flag be left up and they tied it off. But ladies and gentlemen, we gonna have to start doing better than we're doing and do what's right. God sees all this that's going on, and he's not pleased with it, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for us to do what's right. Look at it this way. If the house in the black community was on fire, you would have no problem with the fire department coming to put it out. They put it out because they know that if they don't put it out, that house could catch another house and catch another house. Even though they're in the black community, if they don't put it out, eventually it will go to the what? White community. So that is the same way with Black Lives Matter. As long as we hold a segment of people down, we don't have to worry about them affecting our neighborhood. So when African Americans began to move into white neighborhoods that they wasn't, then whites started leaving because they said, if the house catch on fire, it could catch our house on fire. We need to get away from them. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you for homework. And my pastor dealt with this, and so I know what I'm talking about this Sunday. And so my pastor, and I want to plug him, Reverend Mark T. Mackett, doing an excellent job in bringing the word. He preached from Exodus, the first chapter. You heard me say last week, black people are descendants of Hebrews. We are Hebrews. And when you talk about God being born, he's more absent looking like me than he would be looking like blonde, blue eyes, and white. They knew that. That's why they changed the picture of God and started putting him up as white. and they're hanging them in the house. We didn't say nothing about God because my parents had Jesus hanging in our house. He was blonde and blue eyes. We accepted it. But the moment they started painting God as black, it was an uprising in the white neighborhood. But ladies and gentlemen, they know history. They know history. They kept it out of the history book. Anyone that's born around the Mediterranean Sea, they know that they was of dark skin. They knew that Simon was black, who carried the cross. He buried the cross for Jesus. But you never hear that being preached by a white minister in the church. They all tell, but I want you for homework. Read Exodus, the first chapter. And it goes on to talk. I won't take the time to read it to you because I want just you to read it as homework. But it goes on to talk about the Hebrew boys. That Pharaoh, they wanted to kill the Hebrew boys. Because listen to this one here. I want to see if I can read this. The 7th verse. And the children of Israel was fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty. And the land was filled with them. Ladies and gentlemen, history will tell you black people are no longer the minority in America. Excuse me. We are the majority. There are more black babies being born now than whites. There was an old saying in the hood that says, we don't die, we just multiply. This was going on for years. White America knows that more blacks are being born. They saying that, well, we can just hold them back. But look at the fact, they know the first shall be last. And that's how we ended up with President Obama. It wasn't because of his ingenuity. It was the word of God said the first shall be last and the last shall be first. And if you look at history, you see the black senators, black congressmen, black CEOs. Very few African Americans know that the CEO of J.C. Penney's is African American. In my hometown, not only that, the manager of JCM is African American. We're on the move and they're doing everything they can to stop us. So what they saying is the same thing. Back here, you read the Bible, it says, kill all of the male babies. These Egyptians and Hebrews was of dark-skinned race. Why you won't get this unless you tune into Straight Talking 503. Or you go to my church and my pastor preaches it. But ladies and gentlemen, most of the ministers not doing what my pastor's doing. They're not preaching this. I go around the churches all the time. I'm in some revival somewhere. Every time I hear about a revival, I run. I want to hear the word. But our own pastors, they're not preaching it because we're afraid that master wouldn't like it. He won't shake hands with me if he see me on the street. He won't slip me no money when he come to my church and try to get me to tell my people to vote for him. This mess has been going on too long, ladies and gentlemen. It's holding us back. But thank God we got some young preachers coming on now, and they're not accepting that handout. They're not holding their people back. They want to know what's going on. But we got to encourage our pastor. Pastor, stay with it. Let's talk about what's going on in our community. School is about to start, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for me to get out of here. School is about to start in less than 30 days in your city and my city as well. There's been no evaluation in the public school system. They haven't taught they're going to gear up again and start again. Most of the time, even in my Madison County area, 90% of the teachers being hired is not of the black race. It's called genocide. Hold those people back. But you can't hold God's people back because he said in his word, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. I know the word and I'm going to stand on the word. I'm going to stand flat-footed on the word and believe that God's going to do everything he said in this Bible. I can see it coming to be. But ladies and gentlemen, as long as we stay ignorant to the word, as long as we stay ignorant to what's going on, and our leaders are not being full leaders. Here are our kids, and we have not really sat down and talked to them about the word. They need to know where they come from. Ladies and gentlemen, every time you put up to the red light, that's an African American who invented that. Do you hear white America teaching that in the school system? No, you're not teaching that. There's a whole lot of contribution that we made. But you got people who, and we allow them to not teach black history in the school system. But I've all my life heard about George Washington. Told that big lie he didn't cut out that tree. He cut it smack down, ladies and gentlemen. And then turned around. You can't do wrong. Right will just not follow wrong. You got to do right. Ladies and gentlemen, then turn around. George Washington died of syphilis. And he didn't get it from Miss Washington. Ladies and gentlemen, well, we don't say anything. But we are dying for a lack of knowledge. The Bible tells you a perish for a lack of knowledge. We got to begin to demand that our leadership, our African American leadership, take a stand in the community. Because as public school begin to open up again, more and more of our children will not get the quality education they need because you have sit somewhere quiet. Hell, are you afraid to stand up and talk? Are you afraid to come to the meetings? Are you afraid to call the superintendent? Or are you just going to be a butt kisser all of your life? Ladies and gentlemen, I kiss no man's butt, but I would love to kiss the hands of Jesus. But ladies and gentlemen, I have been your host, Morris Merriweather, who will come to you every week until death leave my body, excuse me. Get me tongue-tied. I'll get it out. But ladies and gentlemen, I've been your host, Morris Merriweather, this week in Straight Talk. Every life matters. Black life matters. We shouldn't have to get out on the streets and with signs that Black life matters. I'm never going to hold a sign saying Black life matter because I know that God says all life matters. So I'm going to demand that I be respected. I'm a free man. I'm not enslaved anymore. My mind is free. No one has never put shackles on me and no one never will. So ladies and gentlemen, I will remain the host of Straight Talk in Room 503 and the author of Enough is Enough. I can't get my own people to buy a copy of my book. But I do want you to know that I'm still going to eat every day and pay my bills because I have a God that's blessing me beyond all measures. He's opened the windows of heaven and I'm standing there and he continually opened the same window and I'm continuing to be blessed. So whether anyone buy a copy of my book, I would appreciate it if you do. But ladies and gentlemen, if you don't buy it, no skin off of me. Because Mr. Charlie wants you to not to help Mr. Merriweather, not to open that book and find out what the truth said. Because I'm telling you, just like I'm doing here, I'm telling you about how the system is doing it. They wanted to kill Malcolm X, and they did. They wanted to kill Martin Luther King, and they did. And ladies and gentlemen, they would wish that old Merriweather would just drop dead. But I'm not going nowhere to God tell me. I'm going to continue to bring Straight Talk to you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, quit letting people hold you back and think for you. You got 5 senses. You can think for yourself. I'm going to continue to think for Professor Merriweather. And if you want to let the good old boys and people who want to control your mind and tell you who to vote for, ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad day. We're not going to the poll this year, and the good old boys are going to continue to run the system. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you was out yesterday with me. And in my hometown and in your hometown, there are $1 million spread where people have made $1 million, but it was not made correctly. It was made under the table. And so friends helping friends. But yet, there's a segment of the race saying we getting out of how the Black Lives Matter. Why don't we prove to the world and tell our children your life does matter, and we're going to make sure you get the best education that you possibly get. You're going to attend church every Sunday and learn all you can about God. You're going to not let prison be bail for profit, and you're going to go in there and help them to become rich and live in big homes. You're never going to go to prison. We got to break it down to our children. And since 503 wants to sit and talk with their children, my blacks in the community won't even support Merriweather. My inbox ought to be lit up this weekend. My book ought to be selling off of the shelf this week. My phone ought to be ringing off to the shelf. What can we do to help you? We're joining the movement. What do we need to do? But they won't do that. What they'll be saying, hey, girl, you hear what Mr. Mayweather said about Black Lives Matter? He sure be telling folks off and everything. You are an ignorant person. Take it from Straight Talk. You are one ignorant person. And as long as you remain ignorant, you won't be able to help yourself nor the future generation. But I'm no longer ignorant. Once upon a time, I was you. I'm a free man now. Thank you for joining me. Join this free man again as we come back to you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, call a friend, tell a friend. It's time to wake up. Quit letting people control our mind. It's time for a revolution. See you next week.